Thank you for tuning in to podcast number 52 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, JWock, and today I will be talking about why I think specifically in the United States that club sports are causing issues going into the future and possibly harming player development. So if you want to hear more about that, make sure to stay tuned. Once again, thank you for tuning into this episode, and I apologize, this is not an NFL or just football episode in general. I will be doing those soon. I was going to do a round one mock draft, but as the day I'm recording this is Thursday, April 24th, the day of the first round, and my episode wouldn't have gotten out in time to where you guys would have been able to see the mock draft, because if I put that out, it would have come out on Saturday. And, well, on Saturday, that's already day 3 of the NFL draft, which the first round would have been well done already. So, yeah, I apologize for not doing an NFL draft. I don't know if any of that made sense at all, but I'm just going to say I will be doing an NFL draft here, or not an NFL draft, an NFL episode here soon. So stay tuned for that. I don't know how many weeks it's going to be. It might be next week. It might be a couple of weeks. So just stay tuned for that. And you could always find that news out on Instagram, which I'll be giving kind of all how to find that later. But anyways, we've got a bit of a different episode today where it's not necessarily professional sports, but it can lead to why professional sports are changing specifically. And that is just the major issues with club sports. I personally just want to say this is my opinion on club sports. Not all club sports are like this, so if I start downplaying club sports and you're personally playing on a club sport, or you have coached, or your kids are playing on it, let me tell you something, I'm not judging you for choosing that, and my light just is going nuts right now. Anyways, I need to fix that at some point, but, yeah, I do think with the club sports, like I said, I do not want to judge you or anything. I'm just saying this is my personal opinion on why I think it's causing issues in the United States specifically. And I have 2 points that I want to point out as to why the club sports has been causing an issue. 1, it's cost, and then 2, it's development. And let's first start with the number 1, which is cost. And I'm mainly going to be talking about soccer and basketball. I know there's club baseball and club football. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not fully familiar with those kind of sports right now when it comes to club. I grew up playing club soccer and club basketball, so that's why I'm going to be talking about that. I don't want to talk about something that I may not be super familiar with. But first off, let's talk about the cost for playing club sports in the United States, specifically for soccer and basketball. Basketball, they didn't have which country costs the most when it comes to club. I'm assuming it's going to be the United States. But for soccer, it is the United States. And the average cost is $1,188 to $2,000 or more per year for club soccer. And that, excludes travel costs for families. That excludes just tournaments that you do to travel. So, let's say you go to a tournament. I remember I used to play for Arsenal. That's not even a club anymore for around here. But if we wanted to go to Reno to play a soccer tournament, you'd have to not only pay for the tournament, but you'd also have to pay the funding to travel. Your family would have to pay that as well, which just adds up. And I know a lot of clubs really focus on traveling and leave that light alone. Just ignore that. I know I just mentioned it, but try to ignore it. Anyways, soccer costs a lot. And it's not just soccer, it's also basketball, which the average cost for basketball is $1,000 to $2,500. So it's a lot of money to be able to pay per year. And here's my issue with this. I do understand clubs need to be able to get the funding so that they can continue to be a good club and continue to reach out to people and get people to try to play for them. But the problem with this is there are many talented people that I personally have met that just have never had the money to be able to pay for club sports constantly. And the problem also with clubs is they're constantly trying to go out and do tournaments. When you're constantly trying to do tournaments, that means more money. And the more money means less people can play. And when less people can play, that goes into issues with just development, which we'll talk about later. But like overall, like sports should not cost this much. I mean, if you look over at like different areas of the world that are also playing soccer and basketball, we're starting to see that a lot of people from across the world, specifically for soccer, are definitely better than players in the United States. But like basketball as well, because these kids that maybe didn't have the funding to play in the United States can go overseas and play somewhere else for a lot cheaper, to where they can really work on their development, which we're going to get into right now, which is the second biggest issue with club sports, and that is development. I think one of the main things that the U.S. struggles with is they focus more on tournaments and games rather than practices and player development. I think across in like Europe, I mean, I saw this video the other day where I saw this European basketball team. There were, roughly high schoolers, I'd assume. They were moving the ball very well. They were playing great team basketball, and their coach was very, very pleased with their game because of their team play. It feels like nowadays, and I'm not saying this for every single club, but it just feels like nowadays in the United States, it's very much ISO-based going into high school. Now, obviously, once you get to college, that's a different story. That's very much team-based. But in club and high school and stuff, they teach you strictly on you need to be better, not the team needs to be better. And that's how it kind of feels. Now, like I said, I'm not saying this for every single club team, but I do believe that they are very much focused on getting games in rather than actual practices and having the coach work with these players to be able to develop them and make them the best player they can possibly be. Rather, they're just saying, go out there, play your best, and you'll get better by playing games, which I think is kind of right. Like, I know in-game reps is the best reps you can get to be a better player. But I do think getting the practice in as well, getting to know your teammates through practice is very important as well. And it's very crucial to being able to help not just the kid get better at sports, but also be able to socialize and be able to build some good bonds with their teammates. Also, with development, I think club nowadays just overschedules, which leads to burnout. Personally, I grew up with this. I grew up playing club soccer since I was probably 10 years old, and I went throughout until the start of high school because I was just sick of club soccer. I definitely got burnt out, and in high school, I actually almost quit. I didn't show up to tryouts. I don't recommend this. I didn't show up to tryouts my senior year. I still ended up playing. Thank you to the coaches and players for letting me play still, but like, I'm telling you, like, club definitely burns you out. Sometimes you may have a bad coach and that could lead to something, but like just overplaying a certain sport can also really hurt your love for the game. I mean, like, typically a lot of people are playing sports because they love that, they love that sport. Like, I played soccer my whole life because I loved playing soccer. The problem with that, with playing club I was playing club soccer in the fall, the spring, and sometimes the winter, which gave me kind of zero break away from soccer. And that's why I kind of went to basketball, because basketball kind of had that like, okay, I can play soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, and then soccer in spring again. And that kind of gave it a nice little break to where I can go, okay, I can do other things other than just playing, soccer. So I think that's one of the main reasons why club also struggles is it's constant games and it's just burning players out. Like, I mean, they have no breaks. It's year round. It's really bad. And this is mainly for basketball too, because with basketball, you're in a gym, so it's not like you have to worry about the weather. In soccer, at least, you really can't play in the winter outside, at least because of the snow and the cold conditions. But there is also an indoor option. So, I mean, it's just like there's a lot of burnout that has to go with this. And then that burnout can also lead to injuries, which then also can shorten a player's career. Someone might want to go far into soccer or basketball, but if they're constantly playing all the time, it's really bad for you. I personally had a coach that got mad at me actually about playing multi-sports. And here's what I want to say. To people that only play one sport, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I also do recommend doing multiple sports. Even if you're like, let's do soccer and then track or something like that, just to keep in shape, just something to be able to get other parts of your body moving more than just what you're doing in that designated sport like soccer or basketball. Multiple sports are very good for you. I remember my coach got really mad at me for playing basketball instead of playing club soccer. And I'm not going to lie, I became a better athlete and a better person playing multiple sports. It just really helped me to be around different types of people, and also just being able to use my body in different types of ways rather than just for one sport. So let me tell you something. To all, if anybody young's watching this, and if anybody out there is thinking about playing club or something, I recommend doing multiple sports. But I will say this, it's going to come with a cost because club sports are expensive. So I guess that's a little bit of a rant. This might be a shorter episode just because I didn't really have much to talk about this week. But anyways, just to conclude this, I'm not saying club is the worst thing in the world. I'm just saying I think there's better ways of doing it. I mean, we're looking at you look at the U.S. and soccer-wise, they're the most expensive club, country to play club for, and they're a mediocre country at best when it comes to playing at the professional level across the world. Because guess what? All the good players can't afford to be able to play club soccer all their life and be able to get to the pros, which is what you're basically going to have to do, it feels like. So I'm just saying, club, just be careful with club. It could definitely put a wear and tear on whoever you're paying for to play, or if you're playing it in yourself. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning into podcast number 52. I apologize if this was kind of just like a filler episode. I'm trying to get through school, the final couple of weeks of school, so I can't spend as much time on the podcast, but I will be here soon. I cannot wait to see you all next week. If you want to check out any of my social media platforms, check me out on Instagram at sportstalkwith_JWock3. Check me out on Facebook at sportstalkwithJWock, Spotify at sportstalkwithJWock in case you want to listen. And if you're on Spotify listening, check me out on YouTube if you want to watch it at sportstalkwithJWock. Check me out on TikTok at sportstalkwithJWock. It's all the same. And then X, I'm also on. I haven't been posting as much, but I'm still on it. You can search up Sports Talk with JWock as well. I mean, who figured? But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.